Morning students, today we are going to start with a new chapter, Introduction to C++. So C++ is a language that was used to create high performance applications. So you can create lot of applications using C++ language. This was a language that was developed by a person, John Stroustrup, and his team at Bell Laboratories. You can see the image of the person, that is John Stroustrup. He was the person who created C++ programming. There are various features or characteristics of the C++ language. So we will see one by one what are the different features or characteristics of C++ language. So characteristics of C++ is first characteristic is object oriented programming. It allows the programmer to design applications like a communication between an object rather than on a structured sequence of code. So they use objects in order to create the programs in case of C++, and it allows a greater reusability of the code. That is, they can use the code reuse, that is, we can use the same code again in a more logical and a productive way. So that is the first feature, that is C++ is object oriented programming. The second feature is portability. We can compile the same C++ code in almost any type of computer and operating system without making any changes. So portability means the same program, that is what is written in C++, can be compiled in any computer and with any operating system. Without making any changes to the code, we can compile that program and we can have the same result whenever you are doing it in any system or using any operating system. This is possible with C++. The next characteristic is modular programming. An application's body in C++ can be made up of several source code files that are compiled separately and then linked together, thus saving the time. So there are small modules which are written, and these modules then it will be combined together. So this is known as modular programming. This is possible in C++. And the next feature is system software development. It can be used for developing system software, that is operating system, compilers, editors, database. So operating system, that is MS Office is an operating system. So they are using C++ in order to create the system softwares like operating system, and compilers also are been also been developed using C++, and editors also are editors where you are typing a notepad is also an editor. This is also developed using C++ and a database also. So using C++ we are able to develop system software. The next feature is C compatibility. Any code written in C can be easily be included in C++ program. That is, a program written in C can be easily included in C++ program without making any changes. So when we write a program in C, that can be used in C++ program also without any changes. C compatibility, we tell it as. C compatibility is also a feature of C++ language. The next is speed. The resulting code from the C++ compilation is very efficient due to its duality as a high level and low level language. So it is a middle level language. They tell it as a middle level language, and from C, the resulting code from the C++ compilation is very efficient. Mission independent. It is a mission independent language. Already I have told you that a program written in C++ can be executed in any of the computers without making any changes. So that is known as mission independent. Next is flexibility. It is highly flexible language and versatility. So it is a flexible language and it is versatile also. Wide range of library functions. It has got a rich set of library functions. It has a huge library function. It reduces the code development time and also reduces the cost of software development. Instead of writing the code a large number of lines, it will reduce. When we use the library function, it reduces the code development time. So since we are using those functions, there is no need to write the codes, and also it reduces the cost of software development. This is also one of the feature of C++ programming. The next topic is components of C++ program. The main components of C++ program are the character set, token, variable and data type. Let us see the different components. The first component is character set. Character set means the valid set of characters that a language can recognize. So there are different characters, that is alphabets, uppercase letters, that is A, B, C, D till Z, and lower letters, that is small letters, that is A to Z, and digits from 0 to 9, and also you have special characters like comma and colon, semicolon, question mark, underscore. So you can see so many special characters are there. All these form a C++ character set. The next element or component of C++ is the smallest individual unit in a program is called token. Different types of tokens are there, that is identifier, keywords, constant, punctuators and operators. So these are the different types of tokens which are used. Identifier. Identifier are the names given for various programming elements like variables, arrays, etc. So as each one of us have a name, and they can identify us with a name. Same way the identifiers are also the names given to the various programming elements. Then we will be able to identify the variables. So we are giving some name to those variables. Those names are called as identifiers. For example, sum, A, B, all these are the variables. So names given to the variables. So these are called as identifiers. So some rules are there for naming an identifier. So an identifier must start with an alphabet or an underscore. So always an identifier must start with an alphabet. That is A, B, any alphabet it can start, or an underscore it can start. And the second rule is that no special characters are allowed except underscore. There are so many special characters, but no special characters are allowed while naming a variable, that is giving a name to a variable, that is you are following certain rules. So you should not use any special characters in that case. So the identifier cannot have a special character. The third rule is that blank space is not allowed. Blank space, you should not give any space between the characters or between the words. So in case blank space is there, then it is not an identifier. It is an invalid identifier. So blank space should not be allowed. The next rule is keyboard should not be used as an identifier. So we will learn about a keyword. What is a keyword? So that keyword cannot be used as an identifier. The next rule is identifiers are case sensitive. So C++ language itself is a case sensitive language, that is it will differentiate the uppercase and the lower case. So small letters and capital letters will be different. It is different, it cannot be same. Okay, so identifiers are case sensitive language. So identifiers, if you give a word first time in uppercase and next time in a lower case, it will not accept. So always you have to give, if you are giving a name with a lowercase, you have to use the same name throughout the program. So identifiers are case sensitive. So these are the rules that you have to follow while writing the identifier. So there are 5 rules, that is an identifier must start with an alphabet or an underscore. That is the first rule. The second rule is no special characters are allowed except underscore. The third rule is blank space is not allowed. And the fourth rule is a keyboard should not be used as an identifier. We cannot use a keyword as an identifier. And the fifth rule is identifiers are case sensitive. Case sensitive means that lowercase and uppercase are different. So whenever you are using a lowercase, you have to use a lowercase, and throughout the program you have to use the same name. You cannot change once uppercase, once lowercase. So these are the rules that has to be followed while naming the identifier. So what is an identifier? Identifiers are the names given for the various programming elements. So when you are giving these names, you have to follow these rules. That is 5 rules I have told you. Now let us see an example for an identifier. So some valid identifiers are there, some invalid identifiers are there. So why it is invalid, let us see, and why it is valid, okay, we'll see that also. Okay, valid identifiers are identifier should start with the alphabet. So PUC _2 So this is a valid identifier. How you can tell it is a valid identifier? Because it starts with an alphabet and it does not have any special character. Okay, it is not a keyword. So all the rules are satisfied here, and only underscore is used. So underscore we can use, but no other special character can be cannot be used. So age is also a valid identifier. Student underscore name is also a valid identifier. So let us see invalid identifier. Student hyphen name. So hyphen is a special character which is used. So it is not a valid identifier. PUC2. PUC2. You are giving PUC and 2. That is, you are giving a space between PUC and 2. Then it is not an invalid identifier. Okay. So now while is a keyword, int is a keyword. So we cannot use it as a identifier. So these are the valid and invalid identifiers. Keyword. I told you we will learn about the keywords. Keywords are special words which have special meaning in C++. So you are giving some special words in the program that is used for only that purpose. Then those keywords will be used, and keywords will be special words which have a special meaning in C++. So it is meant for that purpose. It will be used for that purpose. It cannot be used for any other purpose. So for example, in, float, char, while, do, for, etc. are the keywords. So we will learn about the keywords. As we start the programming, you will come to know what is a keyword, why we are using these keywords. Okay, so now you have to know only the meaning of the keyword. Keywords are special words. They are predefined words. It's already been defined and which is inbuilt in the system. Those type of words are called as keywords. The next token is constant. A constant are identifiers whose value does not change during the program execution. So a value that does not change. Okay, it is constant means what? It will remain same. So whose value does not change during the program execution, then it is a constant. Constants are sometimes referred to as literal. Okay, so the other name of constant is literal. A constant are identifiers. They are identifiers whose value do not change. They don't change at all. Okay, during the execution of the program, then we call it as constant. The different types of constant are integer constant, float constant, character constant and string constant. These are different types of constant. Let us see the integer constant. The integer constant, it is a whole number without any fractional part. It consists of only the whole number. It does not have any decimal number. So there are different types of integer constant like decimal constant. It consists of digits from 0 to 9. The example for decimal constant is 34, 900, minus 25. So it consists of both positive and negative number. The next type of constant in integer constant is octal constant. It consists of digits from 0 to 7. So only 7 digits are there, and octal constant starts with a letter O. Example O12, O45. These are the examples for octal constant. The next type of constant is hexadecimal constant. It consists of digits from 0 to 9 and alphabet A to F. Hexadecimal constant starts with OX. So it always starts with OX. We can see the example OX5, OXA. These are the examples for hexadecimal constant. The next type of constant, the first one is integer constant. Under integer constant, we studied decimal constant, octal constant and hexadecimal constant. So the next type of constant is floating point constant. Floating point constant, it will contain both the whole part and the fractional value. So both the integer as well as the fractional part. So it has two parts, that is integer part and the fractional part. So floating point numbers are represented in two forms, that is fractional form and exponential form. In the fractional form, it has integer and the fractional part. You can see the example, that is 16.5, 10.35. These are the example for the fractional point constant. That is, it has both integer part as well as the fractional part. That next, that is the second floating point number can be represented in exponential form. See the example over here, that is 5.3e6 is the example. So 5.3 is the Matissa and 10 the number before E is matica and the number after E is called as exponent. So 5.3 is matica and 6 is exponent value. So if you are writing any number in an exponential form, it is equivalent to 5.3 into 10 to the power of 6. So this is the example for exponential form. The next constant is character constant. A character which is enclosed with a single quote is called single character constant. In case of character constant, only a single character will be represented. When we are representing a single character, it should be always in a single quotes. You can see the example A in single quotes, H in single quotes. So then it is a single character. So it is a character constant. The next type of constant is string constant. A sequence of characters enclosed in double quotes is called string constant. So if you have a single character, it is a character constant. If you have sequence of character, means a collection of characters. You have a group of characters. Then when these characters are there, then it is called a string. A string is a collection of characters. So for example, you can see India in double quotes, Rose in double quotes. So these are called as string constants. So these are the different types of constants. We studied about the integer constant, we studied about the fractional constant, we studied about the character constant and the string constant. Let us have a recap what we have studied today. We studied about the introduction of C++ program. In the introduction of C++ program, we studied who created C++ program. So C++ programming language was created by a person called John Stroustrup in Bell Laboratories. So this language, that is C++ language, has features or the characteristics. So let us see the characteristics or features of C++. So the first characteristic is object-oriented programming. It is a possibility to do the programming with objects. You can do the programming with the help of objects. Then C++ language is a object-oriented programming language. The next characteristic is portability. We can execute C++ program in any type of computer. So easily you can execute C++ program not only in any type of computer, in any operating system. Then the third characteristic or feature is modular programming. Modular programming means complex program can be divided or split into number of small modules. So you are dividing the program into small modules and executing separately, and then we are joining the program together. The next characteristic of C++ is speed. Compilation and execution is done fast. So whatever the execution and the compilation is done in C++ program, I will tell you about what is compilation and execution. And that is when we write a program, we will come to know what is compilation and execution. And the next characteristic is mission independent language. Can be used in any type of computer. So it need not be used in only one type of computer. It can be used in any type of computer. So these are the characteristics of C++ program. In starting, I have told you so many characteristics of C++ program. Here I have made it in short so that you will understand easily, and you can write 5 characteristics of C++ program easily. Different components of C++ or elements of C++ is the character set, token, variable and the data type. The character set consists of alphabets, that is A to Z, both uppercase and the lowercase, and also digits from 0 to 9 and special characters. Special characters like colon, full stop, question mark, etc. The next component is token. We will be studying about the token, and already I have told you about token and the different types of token which are used in C++. And variable, we didn't study today. In our next class, we'll be studying about the variable and data type. And let us see what is a token. A token is the smallest individual unit in a program is called token. So there are different types of token like identifier, keyword, constant, punctuators, operators. These are the different types of tokens. Identifier is a name given to the different variables which we are using, or the arrays which we are using in the program. We are giving a name, and we also studied about the rules for naming the identifier. So always an identifier should start with an alphabet or underscore. No special characters can be used in identifier. there should not be any blank space in the identifier, and no keywords should be used in a identifier. These were the rules what we studied when we studied about the identifier, how to name an identifier. And also we saw some of the valid and invalid identifiers. The next token what we studied was keyword. Keyword are special words. They are predefined words. So it has a special meaning. Should be used only for that purpose. Those are keywords. Example, do, while, int, float, char, all these are the keywords. The next type of constant, the next type of token is constant. Constants are fixed values that do not change during the execution of the program. So they are called as constant. The other name for constant is literals, but mostly we are using the name constant. So there are different types of constant like integer constant, float constant, character constant and string constant. So we studied about each of these constant in detail. And the punctuators and operators will be studying in the next classes about what is punctuators and what is operators and different types of operators which are used.